Hey friends! Today we're going to be moving through a slightly faster, funky sequenced flow that will still work with the hips, but instead of just working on some stretching, we're also going to work on some outer hip strengthening, kind of targeting the glute med a little bit, and also get some good stretching in. This flow will move a little bit faster, so I'll try to keep cueing a little bit lower. However, you can also take this sequence later once you're familiar with it and stretch it out to a longer class or even kind of a mini workshop and really spend some time digging into those areas that you know are problems for you. And as always, I apologize for any distractions, whether it's construction noises in the background, the dogs running across my mat. I did have to kick Roo Bear and Koiko into the house because this is take 3 and they were being a little disruptive, but the Yorkies are still outside, so you never know when they're going to join us on the mat. But you don't need any props for today's class unless, of course, you want them. If you know you like blocks or a strap or a blanket for underneath your knees, feel free to grab them. We're just going to get started today in a comfortable seated position, Sukhasana, crossed at the ankles. You can be seated at the top of your mat. I just wanted to face you for this beginning portion. So gather whatever you need, and I'll meet you on your mat. And take just a few moments before we get started to settle into your space. To try to put aside, just for now, the distractions, the tedium of everyday life, all those things you have uncrossed off on your to-do list, and just be here now for this brief moment on your mat. Starting to cultivate a deeper breath. Take a light inhale through the nose, feeling the breath warm with a slight constriction at the back of the throat. And as you exhale, maybe part the lips, sigh it out the mouth. Ground down through the sit bones. Feel weighty in the mat, even while having length through the spine. Continue inhaling deeply through the nose, and this time exhale through the nose as well. Soft, long, warm. Settling our pulse, relaxing to the sounds of the river behind me, maybe the cicadas in the trees. We're going to start today's class with some light cat-cow movements in this Sukhasana position. So you can take your hands to your knees and gently pull on your knees to hug your heart through your biceps. Don't dump the head back. Instead, think pressing the back of your skull back, almost giving yourself a double chin. Navel still pulled the spine here. As you exhale, push your hands down and away from you, round through the back of the heart. So puff up between the shoulder blades, hug your navel in towards your spine, dip your chin. Inhale, pulls your heart back through your biceps. Exhale, cat. Inhale, cow. Exhale, round. Hug your navel in and up like you're sliding it underneath your rib cage. Inhale, pull the sternum through the biceps. Squeeze your shoulder blades down and together on your back. One more time. Exhale. Inhale. Come back to a neutral spine. You can leave your eyes closed, lightly half shut, or keep them open, whatever feels right for you. Sprinkle your right fingertips down and outside of your right hip. Swoop your left arm up and forward, and as you do so, think about cat spine. So round forward, and then as your left arm comes by your ear, open up, bring the sternum up towards the sky. And then reverse that motion. So swoop the left arm down, hollow out the body, sprinkle the left fingertips, bring the right arm up. As you inhale, the sternum opens up towards the sky. So we're just moving back and forth with these gentle, almost cat-cow seated half-moon sweeps. And you can make this as organic as you'd like. So there's no need to keep the arms straight here. You can do this more of a side bend, less of a side bend. You can do crazy things with your hands, whatever feels right in your body. Just maintain that stability of the core by hugging your navel in and up. Bringing some movement to the spine and the side body. We'll also be doing some side body work today and asking our side body and our glute med to help us stabilize as we move through a variety of positions. Take one more on each side. And then begin to make your way to a tabletop position. Here in your tabletop, shoulders over wrists, hips over knees. We're going to start by warming up the hands and the fingers and the wrists just a little bit. So come up onto fingertips like little mountain peaks, like you had tiny butterflies underneath the palms of your hands and you're protecting them. So magnetize all of your fingers towards the midline to turn on that arch. Now you can keep your toes tucked or untucked here. What we're going to be doing is a tiny bend of the arms here and then a flick of the wrist to warm up our wrists and our fingers. And because they take a lot of work when we do these postures, even something like downward facing dog or plank is a lot of work on the hands. So as I inhale, I'm going to lean forward slightly with my sternum, and as I exhale, I'm going to push the ground down and away, flick my wrists, and come up and land. Of course, when I land, it's a tiny bend of the arms to absorb that impact. So inhale, tiny kitten pounces, just warming up the fingers, the wrists, the forearms, which stabilize the wrists. So you can make this as dramatic, again, as you want. Some people like to lift up their back legs when they fling up or come forward. That's your choice. Just make sure that most of the work is coming from that flick of the wrist and the fingers magnetizing towards the midline, helping you pounce. Core is engaged here. Core is always engaged. That goes without saying, although I will say it a lot. Because I always forget. That's why I say the excuse. Because I forget, and if I forget, then someone else is probably forgetting. Maybe not you, but someone else. Slowly come back to your tabletop position. Maybe turning the hands out 5 to 10 degrees to alleviate some pressure on the wrists. Wing your elbows wide. Now wrap them towards the back edge of the mat. Keep the micro bend here so that we are muscularizing. We're using the muscles of the arm. We're not just blasting the eyes of the elbow forward. Transfer the weight into the left shin. Peel the right shin off the ground. So hover the right shin 1 inch. Peel the right hip open. Try not to hike the right hip up, but instead just use that outer edge of that right leg to help you lift. Maybe extend, flex the foot. Pulse, pulse, pulse. Try to keep even weight in the hands. Pulse, pulse, pulse. Tap the right toe front. Tap the right toe back behind you, even behind the left leg. Tap the right toe front, behind the left leg. 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 Bring the right leg back out to horizontal. Pulse, pulse, pulse. Try to get it all the way up to hip level. Flex, hold. Slowly lower the right foot so the right toes plant towards the front of the mat. Inhale, cat. Inhale, cow. Exhale, cat pose. And as you cat pose, hug your navel in and up. Ground down through the feet. Come up to feet and knees. Taking a gate pose here. Extend the right arm down the right leg. Left arm comes up and over to the right. And think length through both side bodies here. We don't want to crunch down into that right side body. And there shouldn't be a ton of weight here on this right hand. If you'd like to take the counter pose, sprinkle your left fingertips outside of your left ankle or even onto your left heel and reach back. Pulling your navel in and up to protect the low back here, even a gentle tuck of the tailbone. Slowly bring the hands back down to the mat. Tone the outer hip and pull the right foot back up off the ground. Next exhale, hugs your right knee in towards your nose. Push the ground down and away from you. Puff up the back and release. Coming back into our tabletop position, I'm just moving over so I don't kick the gate. But you guys are fine. Ground down through the right shin, peel the left shin off the ground. Hip opens. Maybe you extend the leg. Pulse, pulse, pulse. Trying to keep even weight in the hands again here. And still keep that micro bend in the elbows. Tap the left toes forward. Tap the left toes back and behind the right leg. Left toes forward. Back and behind the right leg. Forward. Back and behind. Forward. Back and behind. Moving slowly, but also trying to get a sense of motion, of movement, of flossing, lubricating the hip. One more time, and as we go through the middle, stop in that horizontal position. Pulse, 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 hold. Lower the left foot to the left toes, point towards the front of the mat. Inhale, cow pose, pulling your heart through your biceps. Exhale, cat, push down and away. Fingertips grow light, come up to shins and feet. Gate pose to the left, so our left hand extends down and along our left leg very lightly. Our right arm reaches up and over, both side bodies long here. Counter twist if you'd like to take it. Right fingertips outside or even on a block here works really well. They can also just hover and take a gentle counter pose, or you can take your right hand to your right heel. Turn this more into a back bend. Slowly bring your hands back. Use the strength of your left outer hip. Pick your left foot up. Back to horizontal. Next exhale, pulls your left knee in towards your nose. And release back to tabletop position. Tuck your toes here. Wing your elbows wide. Wrap them towards the back of the mat. Micro bend. Root down through the inner edges of the hand. They tend to grow light. Push down and away from you. Hover your knees off the ground. Tap one. Tap the other. Tap one. Tap the other. Pull your navel in and up. Engage the core. Keep going. Tap. Tap. Keep that micro bend. Imagine you're squeezing an imaginary block between your forearms. Tap. Tap slowly, much slower than you'd like to. Send the hips up and back, downward facing dog. First down dog of the day. Take a second to step it out. Whatever that means for you, pedaling it back and forth, swiveling the hips from side to side, a generous deep bend in the knees. Your choice, it's your body. Only you know what is best for it. And come back to your stationary down dog. Root down through the inner edges of the hand, wing your elbows wide. Wrap them back. Feel the space grow between your shoulder blades. Maybe you can't drop the chest down as much. That's okay. It's a more stable position for the shoulders. Transfer the weight into the left leg. Inhale the right leg, straight and strong. All 5 toes point towards the ground. Now imagine you had a paintbrush between your first and second toe on your right foot. Take hold of your paintbrush and start painting. And I want you to be creative here, so there's no need to stay with a nice straight leg unless that's what you want. Paint all over, the biggest surface area possible. Underneath, over. Sorry, there's lots of little bees out today. Just trying to, again, bring some lubrication into the hips. And slowly release the right foot back to the ground. Let's take our left leg long behind us, first straight and strong. Then grab your paintbrush and begin to explore. Some days my explorations look very large, like today. And some days they're very neat and confined. Of course, it's harder when you bring your foot towards the top of the mat or underneath. Pick your poison. Right? And slowly release your left foot back to the ground. Come up high into your tippy toes. Weight evenly distributed between the hands. Push down firmly through the left toes. Flex the right foot to hover the right foot off the ground. So think about plugging the right leg bone up into the socket. Now, flexing the foot firmly. Slice the right leg out directly to the side, just like we did in that tabletop. Slowly bring it down a few inches in front. Gas pedal the foot. Transfer the weight, flex the left toes, left foot comes out to the side, slowly lower a few inches in front. Continue this pattern, so this outward slicing tiptoe, moving slower than you'd like to, of course, because that's the hard part here. Up towards the top of the mat, we'll be meeting in ragdoll. Take your time to get there, it is not a race. When you do get to ragdoll, feet can be hip distance or even a little bit wider. Generous bend in the knees here so that you can bring your low belly down onto your thighs. We're not worried about chest to thighs here. We're thinking more about that low belly, getting that compression. It's almost like we're trying to drip our sternum down over our knees. So bend your knees enough where you can get that low belly connection, or at least close to it. You can grab opposite elbows here, let your head hang heavy. And just breathe, returning to the breath if you lost it. Again, that gentle constriction at the back of the throat if you are practicing Ujjayi breathing with us. Release the elbows softly, and one vertebrae at a time, keeping the bend in the knees, roll up to stand. Let's reverse that motion, rolling back down. So chin goes first. Thinking about catting the spine, arms are heavy, they help us drip down to the earth. And let's roll back up, keeping that bend in the knees, trying to articulate one vertebrae at a time. Our chin and our gaze are the last thing to come up. Beautiful. And just reassessing at the top of our mat here. Generous bend in both knees so that we feel rooted and firm. Transfer the weight into the right foot. Bring your left foot slightly out in front of you. So both legs are bent here. And I even externally rotate my left leg just slightly, coming into dancing Shiva. So arms come out, almost like funky Cobra. You can take a mudra if you'd like with your fingers. It's not necessary. You can also just hold your fingers. Your feet can be flexed or pointed on the lifted leg. So just finding some buoyancy and stability here. And it's always fun to liberate your dancing Shiva and challenge your balance as well. So if you'd like to do that for a few breaths, you're welcome to. Next inhale brings you to steadiness, generous bend into that right leg. Exhale helps you ground down. And as you inhale, swoop your left leg behind you and over to the right. Take your hands up. Use your right hand to grab your left wrist and pull yourself into a slight half moon side body stretch, getting into that left outer hip. As you exhale, brings it back, dancing Shiva. Inhale back to your side stretch. Arc your sternum up towards the sky. Exhale grounds you down, slight curl forward. Inhale opens you up. Exhale curl, dancing Shiva. Inhale opens you up. One more. Exhale ground. Inhale open, stretch that whole left side body. Exhale grounds you down and pause. Now here, use your hamstring on your left leg to curl your heel in towards your sit bone. Straighten the right leg slightly, but you can still keep that micro bend and open up to floating tree. So what floating tree means is that we're not touching our left foot to the right inner thigh, but we're still opening the hip by using the outer hip, we're using the glutes, we're using the external rotators to help us open that. Moving from here into an arabesque, I want you to think about keeping the curl of the heel in towards the sit bone. As we reach the sternum forward, the leg comes back. Extend the left leg long, reach the arms down by your side, almost like an airplane posture, trying to keep the hips square. And bring your arms out in front of you, send those left toes all the way to the back of the mat, slowly, slowly, slowly. Coming into crescent pose. Generous bend into the left knee here so we can tuck the tailbone. If we don't, we send this a lot of times into the low back, which is not what we're trying to do in this posture. So this bend of the back knee and tuck of the tailbone. You can actually take your hands physically there to tuck the tailbone. Square the hips by scissoring the inner thighs together and magnetizing your feet together towards the front of the mat. Inhale, cactus the arms, lift through the sternum, keeping the engagement of the core. Exhale, pull your forearms towards the midline. Feel your shoulder blades separate. Inhale, cactus open. Exhale, wave it shut. Inhale, open. Exhale, wave it shut. Inhale, open. Exhale, wave it shut. Inhale, open. Exhale, release. Straighten both legs. Swivel to the left long edge of your mat. Toes out, heels in, goddess pose. Sink deep for a second here. You could take your hands to your thighs and send your sit bones out and wide behind you, rocking back and forth slightly, just opening up, lubricating the hips, saying hello. And then really engage the feet. Magnetize them together. Tuck the tailbone. You may not be able to go as low. That's okay. Send the knees wide. Take your hands behind your head. And keeping some length in the side body and trying to keep the hips over the knees, Bend down to touch your right elbow towards or on your right knee. Come back up. Left side. Up. Right. Up. Left. Up. Right. Left. Right. Left. Right. And left. Pause. Straighten your legs. Make your feet parallel. Prepping for wide-legged forward fold here. So magnetize your feet together. Hug your inner ankles towards the midline. And with a flat back, fold forward. Any variation that you choose, just make sure you keep length of the spine here. If you'd like to add a twist or different arm variation or even an inversion, feel free. And coming up to a halfway lift from whatever position that you are, length through the spine. As we exhale, we're going to bend deeply into the right leg here, coming up onto the left heel, Skandasana. You can turn your right toes out slightly, pressing our right forearm into our right knee into the forearm here to help us open up that hip to the side. Drag your left heel down and towards your right heel to turn on that left hamstring, active hamstring stretch. Engage the left quad. Like a ninja, moving to the other side, so Skandasana into the left leg here. Those toes turn out slightly, coming up onto the right heel. And again, engage the right quad, dig the right heel, and magnetize it towards our left foot to turn on that right hamstring, active stretch. And then take your hands to the back of the mat, frame the left foot, swivel to supported high lunge here. Transfer the weight into the left leg, plug the right leg bone into the socket as you pull it in, and slowly lower to a fold. Shake it out if you need to. And the generous bend in the knees, drip your way back up to a stand. Yes, you're facing the back of the mat, but it's okay, you know what we're doing. We're just repeating this with the other leg. So generous bend in both knees, ground down through the left foot, take your right foot out in front of you, bent. Again, whatever you'd like to do with the toe, we're coming to dancing Shiva, so that funky Cobra arms, whatever mood or position you would like. If you'd like to free your dancing Shiva and challenge your balance, go right ahead. You can get as crazy with this as you want, move as quickly as you want. If you want to get extra ninja points, you can close your eyes, it's very difficult. Wow, you guys are getting full button Yorkie stomach view. Oh yes, you're so cute. Next, inhale, pause as you. Exhale as you ground down. And as you inhale, take your right toes behind you and to the left. Take your left hand to your right wrist and pull your right side body up and open. Exhale, grounds you back, curling forward, dancing Shiva. Inhale, opens you up. Exhale, dancing Shiva. Inhale, opens you up. Exhale, dancing Shiva. Inhale, opens you up, side body stretch. Exhale, dancing Shiva. Inhale, open the sternum up towards the sky. Exhale, come back to your dancing Shiva and hold. Use the strength of your right hamstring. Curl your heel in towards your sit bone. Open your right knee out to the side, floating tree. Still a gentle bend into the left knee here, but maybe not quite as bent. Reaching forward with the sternum, navel engaged. Keeping the heel in close to the sit bone, you're going to pull back, teetering forward, and then extending the right leg into an airplane pose. Beautiful. Arms out in front of you, generous bend into the left knee. Reach the right toes back and behind you very, 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 very slowly. Crescent pose. Generous bend into the right knee here so that we can tuck the tailbone and square the hips towards the front of the mat. Inhale, cactus the arms. Open up the sternum. Exhale, pull the forearms together. Shoulder blades separate. Inhale, opens. Exhale, close. Inhale, opens. Exhale, close. I've got this challenge with these little black bees going on. Inhale, open. Exhale, close. It's okay, I love a challenge. Inhale, open. Exhale, close. Inhale, open. Keep the navel engaged. And exhale, release. Straighten the legs. Swivel back. We're again facing the left edge of our mat. Toes out, heels in, goddess pose. And again, take a second if you want to sink in. Go to that flaring out of the sit bones. And then magnetize the feet together. Tuck the tailbone, widen the knees out to the side. Take your hands behind your head. Coming back to our side dip. So right side, left side, right side, left side. Trying to go back and forth as if you're stuck between two panes of glass. So moving to the side plane here, not necessarily dipping too much forward or back. One more on each side. And pause. Straighten the legs, make the feet parallel. Take a wide-legged forward fold of your choice, or another inversion if it pleases you. Inhale, halfway lift from wherever you are. And as you exhale, bend into the left knee, Skandasana towards the back of the mat here. Take whatever arm variation you choose for our second round as your hips start to open a little bit. And again, if your hips don't go all the way to the ground, taking your sit bones to a block or even coming up more into a higher position, sometimes called skater pose, can be very helpful as well. Just really make sure you're keeping that right leg nice and active. Like a ninja moving to the other side, so Skandasana towards the top of the mat here, bending into the right leg. And returning to the breath to see if we can't open up the left hamstring and the right hip just a little bit more. Taking our hands to the top of the mat, framing our front foot, swiveling to supported high lunge. Transfer the weight into the right leg. Plug the left leg bone up and in, and slowly lower to a fold. Beautiful. Release the hands or the elbows or whatever you're holding and drip up to stand one vertebrae at a time. Heel toe your feet together, big toe mounts together. Heels can be a sliver apart. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, sink the sit bones low, chair pose. And really focus on pelvic positioning here. So for just a second, take your hands down to your thighs. Flare your sit bones out. This is anterior tilt. Now tuck your sit bones under too much. This is posterior tilt. Now find somewhere in the middle that's a nice neutral spine. And for most of us, that's going to feel like a gentle tuck of the tailbone. Navel is engaged and up. Sink the sit bones low. Weight is in the heels here. Take your hands down by your side, fingertips face backwards. Come up onto your tippy toes, Barbie feet. Slowly lower. Barbie feet. Slowly lower. The only thing that's moving here are my heels up and down. My body is staying tilted slightly forward, about 45-degree angle. Up, down, up, down, up, stay up. Slowly begin to lower your sit bones, keeping your heels lifted as much as you can. Knees squeezed together. It's one leg all the way down to a toe stand. Bringing your thighs close to parallel, hands up to heart center. Now we're just going to do a fun little exercise here. You can always stay in toe stand, squeezing your inner ankles towards the midline, just trying to strengthen your ankle stability a little bit. Or you can reach your arm forward, widen your knees out to the side, sink your sit bones low, cat the spine as you sit. And then reversing that motion, you're going to gently rock up and close the knees, coming back to your toe stand. Again, reach forward, widen the knees, round, sit. Pull your navel in and up, round forward. The knees come together, thighs come back to parallel. Keep going. Just a fun little game for mobility and stabilization. If you need a little bit bigger of a rock, you can take it. If you don't need a rock at all and you can just peel yourself off the ground, congratulations. You're a super awesome ninja. Let's do one more. So one more full round and then we'll meet on our seat. Beautiful. Once you're on your seat, ground down to the front edge of your sit bone, so rock forward, keeping your navel pulled in and up so that we keep this out of the low back. Take your fingers to your toes. Now, transferring the weight into your sit bones, lifting up through the heart. See if you can extend your legs towards or to straight. If they go straight, fabulous. Now, another fun game. You can stay here and challenge your core. You can also let go of your feet and do gentle pulses, making sure you keep a nice long spine here. This is terrible. Or you can keep a hold of your toes. Move your microphone out of the way so you don't crush it. And think about catting the spine, so that rounding of the spine, pushing out through the back of the heart, hugging your navel in and up, and maybe rocking back, rocking forward, and as you rock forward, lifting up through the sternum, thinking more about cow pose to catch yourself. Just do a few of these for fun. Do about 2 more. Slowly release your toes, keeping a nice straight spine. Plant your feet hip distance or even up to mat width apart. We're just going to try this fun game of getting up into Malasana. So it's kind of similar to what we did. Sometimes it can feel a little bit harder. You can turn your feet out slightly if you'd like. Reach your hands forward, bring your chest down between your knees, and maybe giving yourself a little rock. See if you can pop up to Malasana. If you take a few pops to get there, no worries. It's totally fine. And then option to stay here and keep the hips opening, pressing the triceps into the knees, knees into the triceps, or hands out in front of you, grounding down through the feet, magnetizing them together, coming up to a stand, lowering back, just adding a few squats in here. Navel pulled in and up this whole time. If you're doing squats, throw in 1 more, and we'll meet back in Balasana. Beautiful. Take your hands down in front of you. We're just going to be hopping back to downward facing dog. That can be really fun to do from Balasana. Whatever you're doing it from, if you have momentum and your hips get up, you need to bend your knees when you land to absorb the shock. So planting the hands, maybe leaning forward, you can widen your knees out to the side a little bit. And just thinking about a nice little froggy hop, trying to get the hips up. Don't kill your little dog. And landing in downward facing dog. Beautiful. And take just a second here in your downward facing dog to drip your heels towards the ground and just reassess. Find length again along your back. We just did a lot of rounding. Returning to your breath if you've lost it, of course. Then when you're ready, generous bend in both knees. Cross the right ankle over the left thigh. Really important here. Flex the right foot. We're coming into figure 4 downward facing dog. So generous bend into the left knee, almost to 90 degrees here. Flex the right toes really firmly. Widen the right knee out to the side. Drop the chest back down. Root down through the inner edges of the hands. Breathing here. Space into the right hip as it opens. Similar feeling to pigeon here for a lot of us. Slowly release. Let's switch sides. Crossing the left ankle over the right thigh. Flexing the left foot really firmly here. Really important to flex the foot so that we stabilize the ankle and the knee and send the stretch to the hip instead of the knee. Slowly release. Inhale the right leg up. Exhale, round it forward, right knee to nose. Create space to step the right foot between the hands. Magnetize the feet to come out together, come up, crescent pose. Beautiful. Straighten the front leg. Pivot to the long edge of your mat here. Take a goddess pose, so bend deeply into the knees here. No need to do any of those side swivels right now. Just take your goddess, whatever goddess position feels good for you. And then straighten the legs, wide-legged forward fold. Feet are parallel here. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, Skandasana into the right leg here, so towards the top of the mat. Now, option to stay here. Or, if you'd like to move into an Anantanasana transition, you can take your left hand to the top of your mat, left fingertips face forward. You're going to swivel on your feet, almost like you were first coming to crescent lunge facing the top of your mat, but then continue swiveling all the way into Anantanasana. So now both my feet are flexed firmly and pointing towards the right edge of my mat. My hips do not have to be all the way down. They can be lifted. I can be pushing down firmly through my left hand, or I can extend my right arm long over my left leg. Breathing space into the right outer hip. You may feel an intense stretch here. And then just moving back into Skandasana the same way we came in. So swooping the right arm around, coming back through our crescent pose, and then Skandasana. Beautiful. Moving to the front of, or the back of the mat, Skandasana into the left leg here. Flexing the right toes, digging the right heel in. Stay here or plant the right hand towards the back of the mat, fingers face backwards. Swivel to crescent pose at the back of the mat, and then continue swiveling, flexing both feet firmly to keep this out of the knees. Maybe your hips stay up high, maybe they lower. Extending the left arm long over the right leg. Anatanasana, Fallen Warrior. Beautiful, coming out the same way we came in, so swooping the left arm over, moving through crescent, back into our skanda. Lovely. And then planting the hands towards the back of the mat. This time we are stepping to crescent pose. Transfer the weight into the left leg. Plug the right leg bone into the socket. Slowly lower the right foot, and fold. Drip your way up to stand, one vertebrae at a time. Ground down through the feet. Tadasana. Inhale brings us back to Dancing Shiva, facing the back of the mat. Left leg is up, generous bend into both knees. Dancing Shiva, Cobra arms. Fabulous. Now from Dancing Shiva, we're going to be moving by pulling our hands to prayer, sending our foot behind us, tapping the top of our foot at the front of our mat, and coming into crescent pose. And then we're going to be moving back, tilting the sternum forward, transferring the weight, coming back into Dancing Shiva. So start by doing this slowly with the breath. It's okay if you wobble. We're just working on hip stabilization here. Reaching the left toes back, picking the torso up, crescent pose, tilting the torso forward, rolling to the top of the foot. Dancing Shiva, reaching the toes back, coming up, forward. Dancing Shiva, top of the foot, torso up, forward. Dancing Shiva, one more. Pause in your Dancing Shiva. Taking a similar motion, but this time a little bit more challenging, is opening up to the side to goddess pose. So keeping a generous bend into the right leg, which might start to be burning a little bit, mine is, and opening up the hip, stepping the left foot towards the top of the mat, goddess. Now, it's a tricky motion to both move to the back of the mat and close the hips. So it's okay if you wobble, it's okay if you fall. Coming back to your Dancing Shiva, goddess. Dancing Shiva, use your arms to help you balance. Goddess, trying to move slowly, but it's okay if it feels a little bit floppy or unsteady. Just be careful with your knees. Dancing Shiva, one more time, goddess. Dancing Shiva, hold your Dancing Shiva. I know your leg is getting tired. Just like we did in the beginning of class, floating tree. So left knee comes out to the side, and then extend the left leg back behind you. Body comes forward. Stay here in this airplane pose, or bring your left hand down to the ground, right arm up. Begin to open your hips up to the right. Reach your left toes to the back of the mat, coming to Anatanasana, Fallen Warrior, towards the left long edge of your mat. So turning both your feet out, flexing the feet firmly, lowering the hips. Beautiful. Let's do some little hip rises and falls here. So as you inhale, push down through the left hand, pick your hips up, drip your right arm over your ear. Exhale, slow lower. Inhale, sweeps your hip up. Exhale, slow lower. Inhale, up and hold. Arc through the right side body. Then bring your right hand down. Pivot towards the back of the mat. Tuck your left knee behind your right. Both knees bent. Shiva squat. Beautiful. Extend the left leg long. Supported out. Fingertips can be on the ground here. Flex those left toes. Plug the left leg bone in. Slowly lower to hover. Wiggle the toes. And release and fold. Beautiful. Shake it out. Drip your way up. You're still facing the back of the mat. That's okay. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, sink the sit bones low chair. Bring the arms back behind you. Come up high into your tippy toes. Keeping the torso tilted forward about 45 degrees. Slowly lower to your toes stand. Widen your knees. Reach your arms out in front of you. Sit. Reach forward. Pick yourself back up. Come back into your toe stand. Plant your hands. We're going to be jumping back to downward facing dog, facing the back of our mat here. I'm going to step just because I don't want to kill my little dog. But you guys can take a hop, making sure to bend your knees as you land. Downward facing dog, facing the back of the mat. Inhale, the left leg straight and strong. Exhale, pull your knee towards your nose. Puff up the back of the heart. Create space to step your left foot between your hands. Magnetize your feet together. Come up, crescent pose. Beautiful. Straighten that left leg. Pivot towards the long edge of your mat. Goddess pose here just for a second. Maybe tuck the tailbone this time. Really engage your legs. Widen the knees out to the side. Then straighten the legs. Parallel the feet. Wide-legged forward fold. I scared her. Coming up to a halfway lift, Skandasana towards the back of the mat here. So bending into the left knee. And if you'd like to stay here, fine. If you'd like to take that Anatanasana variation, place your right hand towards the back of the mat. Pivot all the way around, flexing both feet. Anatanasana. Back to Skandasana. Like a ninja, Skandasana towards the other side, the front of the mat, bending into the right knee. Stay here or plant the left fingertips forward. Pivot all the way around. And if you need to move your right foot towards the back of your mat, that's totally acceptable. It's a deeper stretch when your right foot is all the way towards the front. Coming back, Skandasana. Beautiful. Pivot towards the front of the mat, planting your hands on either side of your front foot. Supported lunge. Transfer the weight into your right leg. Pick the left leg up. Plug it in. Slowly lower. Wiggle the toes. Fold. Drip your way up. Coming back into our dancing Shiva. Right leg lifted. Both legs bent. And moving into those crescent pose and goddess pose skiing variations. So curl your heel in towards your sit bone, tilt your torso forward, reach your right toes back. First touch the top of your foot, and then come up to crescent. Tilt the weight forward, peel your way back to dancing Shiva. Tilt the weight forward, moving carefully. It's okay if you wobble, it's okay if you fall. Tilt forward, dancing Shiva, tilt forward, reach top of the foot, crescent, tilt forward, roll, dancing Shiva, experimenting with what specific set of movements makes this more accessible for you. Making sure not to drop that left knee in, sacrificing the integrity of the knee joint. Pulling your navel in and up, always using your core for these transitions. That's really important. Next time you're in dancing Shiva, pause. Beautiful. Opening up to goddess pose. So you can move through slowly the same way that we did when we did floating tree, and then just continue opening, reach those toes out, try to slowly, softly land in goddess. Coming back, you can always tap on the way back, and then coming into dancing Shiva. Goddess. Dancing Shiva. Working the totality of our hips and our leg here for stabilization on the left side. Goddess. Dancing Shiva. Goddess. Ooh, dancing Shiva. Goddess, it's time when you get to dancing Shiva, stay there. Fabulous. Floating tree. Reach the torso forward, reach the right leg back. Airplane pose, stay here, or take your right hand down to the ground, left arm up. Reach those right toes back. Pivot both feet to the left. Lower the hips. Anatanasana. Extend your left arm long over your right leg. Let's do a few of those sweeps. So as you inhale, push down through the right hand, lift the hips up. Left arm comes by the left ear. Exhale, lower. Inhale, sweep it on up. Exhale, lower. Inhale, sweep it on up and hold. Keep bringing the left hand down in front of you. Pivot towards the front of the mat. Transfer the weight into the left leg. Plug the right leg bone up into the socket. Slowly lower to hover. And fold. Drip your way up to stand. Heel toe your feet together. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, sink the sit bones low. Bring the hands down by your side. Inhale as you come up onto tippy toes. Exhale as you slowly lower to toe stand. Reach the arms forward, widen the knees. Cat the spine, sit. Come forward, pop back up, toe stand, and again, hop back to downward facing dog, bending your knees as you land. Fabulous. Take a second just to lower the knees here. So that's really the essence of the flow. I did want to give you a few moments and encourage you to pause the video to do an authentic movements practice. So now that we're warm and now that things are safe because we're generally warm, it's a great opportunity to play. After you've done the work of the day, before you wind down and give yourself the very much needed rest, Erin and I really like to teach authentic movements. And what that means is kind of letting go of the rules. So no need to do things on both sides. No need to do anything that has a Sanskrit name. It could just be wiggling on the mat. It's a great experience to do a few things, to get into more things that you liked from today's flow and you wanted to spend more time in, to take today's flow and continue practicing off of it. So be like, oh, instead of going to Anatanasana there, I really wanted to do this or this or this. So if you'd like to do that, you can take that variation. Or you can also use it as an experiment to just let your body dance, to put on your favorite song. It works a lot better with music, for me at least. And just explore, and to really stop judging yourself about the movements that you do. Obviously to stay safe within your own body, but to not worry so much about the structure of the flow or the postures themselves or doing it on both sides. And what typically happens for me in authentic movements practice is that when I do it, I do about 200 to 300 transitions or moves, and you know, if I do 200, 198 of them are stupid and I'll never use them again. But that's okay. I'm not judging myself for them. That's just what my body felt like doing. But I might get one or two interesting little nuggets in there that I can use and I can extrapolate on to make creative transitions for future flow. So that's the way that Erin and I develop a lot of our creative transitions, is just through playtime. And playtime is always better when it's safe. So we've already warmed up. We haven't yet wound down. So I encourage you to press pause here and for 3 minutes, just play. 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever you want. And then come back and we'll wind it down. We'll be meeting in child's pose when you're ready. From your child's pose, return to your breath. Deep inhales through the nose. Exhales, maybe parting the lips, sighing it out of the mouth, sinking the chest a little bit deeper through the knees. And keeping your legs how they are, begin to crawl your fingertips over towards the right. Not too much, just towards the top right corner of your mat. Pushing your right hand down and away from you. See if you can spider your left fingertips out just a little bit further past your right. Sending a deep stretch into your left armpit, your left side ribs. Still trying to ground down evenly through both sit bones. The left might lift just a little bit. That's okay. Slowly walking your fingers back to center. Let's move to the left hand side. Spidering them over, pushing down and away with the left hand. Spider the right fingertips out. Just a little bit more. Hug your navel in and up to create space. Send the stretch to the right armpit, the right side ribs. Slowly walk your fingers back to center. Tent them like mountain peaks, just like we did at the beginning of class. And as you inhale, I want you to round forward like cat pose, articulating each little piece of your spine. As you exhale, bend your elbows back, micro bend, send your sit bones up, push back, child's pose. Inhale, swoop it on forward. Exhale, shh, pull your navel to your spine, tilt your tailbone up, push your hands down and away from you. So we're moving through these little cat-cow motions. Keep going with your breath. It's the opposite breath that we started class with, but that's okay. It's always good to experiment. Inhale lifts you up, puffing up through the back of the heart. Exhale pushes you back, moving slowly, magnetizing your fingertips together to engage your hand arches. One more time. Inhale forward. exhale back. This time as you inhale forward, you're going to be coming all the way forward to a gentle cobra. So bring your hip bones down to the ground. Maybe lowering your chest slowly so you can walk your fingertips out to the side more. Feet can be hip distance apart. Forehead faces the mat first. Push your hands down and away from you. Allow your shoulders to come up by your ears and even round forward just a little bit. Now roll them on your next exhale. Roll them down and together on your back. Broaden through the collarbones. Tuck the tailbone to keep this out of the low back. Take your fingertips, claw them into the earth, and then pull them back towards your hip points to skyrocket your heart forward. Beautiful. Slowly lower, dripping your heart back to the floor. Taking your forearms out in front of you, Sphinx pose. So my elbows are right underneath my shoulders. Rock to the inner edges of your elbows. So imagine hugging an imaginary block between them. Broaden through the collarbones. Ignite the legs. Tuck the tailbone. Stay here or push your hands down and away from you, coming up into seal. Still making sure to wrap the elbows towards the back of the mat, even keeping a micro bend here so we're not blasting forward, pulling our shoulder blades down together on our back. Keep your right hand where it is. Take your left hand in closer towards your body and begin to roll onto your right side body. Legs stack on top of each other. And for a minute, just push the ground down and away from you with your right hand. So come out of this right shoulder. And then allow yourself to sink in, finding some stretch along the right low ribs. You can take your left fingertips in front of you for balance or reach them around for balance, whatever feels good. And try to make this a softer pose. No need for too much engagement here. As long as it feels safe in the shoulder and you're not blasting out through the elbow, still keep that micro bend and that tricep wrapped in the elbow. You can allow yourself to sink down the right shoulder, coming close to the right ear. Slowly push the ground down and away from you to come out of the right shoulder. Roll back into your still pose very carefully. And changing sides, bring your right fingers closer towards your body. Roll onto your left hip. Push the ground down and away from you. Grow long through the side body. And then slowly allow yourself to kind of sink in, relax like you're on a very comfy couch and you're doing a very suggested posing posture. You could take your right fingertips in front of you or behind you for balance. Again, whatever feels good. And don't blast out through this. My left elbow is especially bad at hyperextending. Wrap the tricep. Stabilize the shoulder. Slowly coming back to seal, so push the ground down and away from you with your left hand. Roll back into your hip points, drip your way down, and make your way onto your back. Here in your back, we're just going to hug our right knee in towards our right armpit. You can keep your left foot on the floor, knee bent, or you can extend the leg straight, whatever feels more comfortable for you. Just give ourselves a little hug here, and then release. Switch it up. Left leg comes in towards the left armpit. Hug it in. Release. Bring the soles of both feet towards the sky. Knees drip towards the armpits. Arms come between the knees and then to the outer edge of the feet. Flex the feet. Happy baby. Or any happy baby variation that you'd like, whether that's straightening one leg or both legs. Getting a little hamstring stretch. We did do some wide-legged forward fold, as well as some wide-legged boat pose, so whatever you need. And this is the last scheduled pose of this flow, so if you'd like to do some extra postures, you can always pause the video. That's one of the nice things about doing online videos or YouTube videos, is you can just pause them and rewind, do whatever you need to do. Go get a potty break, whatever. And hug your knees in towards your chest, wrapping your arms around your shins. And I encourage you today, since we've been doing a lot of opening postures, to continue that theme by taking a star Shavasana. So that means legs out towards the back corners of your mat, arms up towards the front corners of your mat, and just kind of splaying out. Generous tuck of the tailbone just to get situated so that we've got a little bit of length along the low back, but allowing our feet to splay open, our shoulders to drip down towards the earth, and of course releasing any hold that you have on your breath. Closing your eyes, softening the space between your eyebrows, and just allowing yourself to have this final resting pose. I won't be guiding you out of Shavasana today, so I'd like to encourage you to either just have someone wake you up in 3 to 5 minutes, set a quiet timer on your phone, or just get up whenever you feel is natural, but do take at least 3 minutes to reset and to digest, to download. And then whenever you come out of Shavasana, please do so slowly, with respect for your body and the fact that you just worked it very hard and then pressed pause so it could download everything. Thank you so much for spending time with me today. I look forward to doing more of these flows with you guys, and I hope you enjoyed it. As always, you can leave more comments or requests below in the comments, or just email me or send me a DM on Instagram. Thanks so much. Namaste.